So welcome to this tutorial for Virtual Flight for Noobs Beginners. In this short video, I'm going to show you guys exactly how you can get to grips with the game so that you can understand it as soon as possible. So one of the first things you'll want to do is get yourself comfortable. Ideally, you want to be, probably sat in a chair that doesn't have a backrest, because that is probably the most comfortable. You're going to be able to look behind you without any obstructions, and that's currently my setup now. Now, if you want to make sure you're sat on something and then comfortable, what you want to do is look at the recenter. And then of course you can see once you've tilted your arm, then you want to press this in. Now, important thing to know, if you're having trouble navigating the menu, don't hold RT in order to press buttons. You have to press it at the time of contact. That means the moment your finger touches this, you want to click, on it. So for example, let's say I wanted to move around and recenter this, I just click press, and you can see I'm now moved into a different area. Once again, if I want to do it again, it is a little bit fiddly, but once again, you can just do that if you want to move the entire thing around and get yourself comfortable. So ensure you do that as well. Now, another thing is that the joystick and the throttle are going to be your two main controls. Now, honestly, those are going to be, very easy to grab. You're going to be using your grip buttons, the two buttons underneath your meta controller. So whenever you grip, not the RT buttons, not the trigger buttons, but the grip buttons, that's how you grab the joystick, and that is how you grab the throttle and move it forward and backwards. So what this means now is essentially that if we go and we want to adjust this joystick just for movement purposes, before we get into the menu, if you press RT on moment of impact, so that's the moment you press it, don't hold it, don't just tap it as you tap it, and then you'll be able to move this up, move it backwards, move it forwards. This is just for your seating arrangement. So wherever you want to place it, get comfortable and then leave it there. And then once again press RT again, and you'll be able to lock that in place. So remember guys, navigating the menu, I thought it was hold RT, but it is just tapping RT the moment you tap the button. It is a little bit weird, but that is how the menu is done. So of course, what you want to do now is you want to ensure, again, you can adjust your throttle the same way. So if you want to grab your throttle and move it somewhere else, once again, you can do that as well. So for both sides, you have something that is comfortable. So you want to make sure that of course you're comfortable before you get into a game. So what you want to do now as well is you want to, look at the menu. So for the menu, you can see what you can do here is you can go offline, free flight, academy, replays, and essentially all of these things are just to get you started. So of course the menus are here, and the settings are of course here. So you can of course here select which aircrafts you want. There are many different aircrafts that you can choose from. It could be random. There are 3 current aircrafts that you can choose from. I'm just going to close this so it doesn't save, and it's completely up to you. In fact, it actually does select random. In fact, let's just go back to the one from the beginning, because that was the one that I was using. So let me close. So of course as well, what you want to do is you want to firstly start by making sure that you go into a free flight, because this is where you get your gist and your basic controls. Now, things to note as well, if you're very confused on the controls, like extraordinarily confused, I will show you guys a quick way to completely understand everything, and that is through watching these. So I'm going to show you guys what to do. So ideally, if you go into Academy and then you go into the VR controls, this will show you exactly what everything does. Now, for those of you guys who are complete beginners and aren't too into the flight stuff, you can individually click each one of these, okay, and it will tell you exactly what they do. So for example, if you want to learn how the throttle goes, the throttle is just literally moving it forward and backwards, basically how much energy you want to put into the engines. For example, it'll show you a quick video here. And so let me show you guys what all of this looks like in practice. Now, before we go into the thing, here are some quick things that you can change. For example, if you want to change the chat volume, you can just twist that knob. This one you actually do hold RT. So if you hold RT, like press it on the moment, then hold RT, you can change the chat volume. Then of course you can either turn your mic on or off. Okay, so now what we're going to do is going to go into a practice session, which is actually a free flight. This is what I recommend all beginners to go into. Click free flight and then just click start. Now of course you can change these things. It usually does come up with the islands, so I'm going to put my starting altitude to mid and my starting speed to mid. So I'm just going to do that. Then we're going to start and we're going to get off into the races. You can see it's giving us get ready, and of course just make sure that you're grabbing these. Now I would say just be very careful before you start grabbing these too much, because this initially is very sensitive. On the right hand side, this is super sensitive, so if you wiggle this about, it doesn't take much to start moving. Okay, now of course if you want to slow down, just grab the throttle back, and of course you're going to see that your engine starts to slow down, and you can see that your RPM as well starts to slow down. Okay, now if you do this for too long, you're eventually going to stall out, so we don't want to do that. We want to of course increase the throttle, and we're going to turn back this way. Okay, now importantly, if you do some changes that are too difficult for the aircraft, you'll notice that in the top left, what you'll get is you'll get a max G, okay? Now, max G basically just means that the move is too aggressive and your pilot is going to pass out. So if you see max G, probably stop what you're doing and just try to level out your plane, because it's very, very, you know, it's essentially difficult. Now, one of the things you can do as well in a plane is if you press RT, you'll see that it shoots, and that is of course going to be something that you use in your offensive. So if you see a different person, you know, like an enemy or something, you can use the RT button to shoot out of the cockpit, okay? So it's completely up to you when you want to use that, but of course that's going to be something in your arsenal. Now, another thing as well, that if you're flying around and you do see something, what you can do is you can once again use your flares. So in order for you to use your flares, you want to be holding the thrust, and then of course you want to be pressing the X button. So if you press, you'll be able to see your flares right here, and you'll be able to press the X. So when you're getting a lock onto your aircraft, it's going to pop up with all sorts of warnings and stuff. So what you want to make sure you do is just press X, and if I look behind me, you'll see that the flares are coming off. So if I hold the flares, you can see that, no, if I tap them, that's basically what you want to do. And you know, when you tap them, it releases a lot of flares quickly. Now, of course, keep an eye on your flares because you will run out, but if you quickly look back, you'll be able to see your flares as they go off, okay? So now, those are pretty much the basics. Of course, there is a missile thing, but currently we don't have a missile, okay? So right now, of course, I've got it on the missile, but I don't actually have any missiles. So if you do hover over the B button, okay, on the meta control, okay, when you do have missiles and then you do press RT, I'll show you guys how to do that in the next, you know, position. So this is basically the basic flight controls. If you want to quickly go upwards, just pull this back, push it forward, and you'll be able to go a lot faster, okay, and you'll be able to exit you know, the atmosphere. Not really exit the atmosphere, but if you want to go down, of course it's pitch it forward. Of course, if you want to go left, just, you know, pitch it left as well, turn the aircraft, and you'll be able to learn, you know, how things are. Of course, remember that, you know, stall warnings do happen, and they'll be able to tell you exactly how great you are at flying. And it is one of those things where you will just have to get used to it a little bit, because it is very, very, you know, easy to fail. And of course, another thing as well is that, you know, if you want to go super, super fast, you can put the full throttle all the way to the top, but you'll need to like give it a little bit of a nudge. So when you give it a little bit of a nudge, you're going to see the AB light come on, and that is essentially the afterburner, and that just means that you're now going as fast as possible. But remember, your fuel gauge, it will show you when your fuel runs out. So let's turn on the afterburners. You can see the afterburners on, and you can see now I'm burning through, you know, a ton and ton of fuel, okay? And you can see my fuel is actually going down quite a lot. Now, this is another thing that happens. If I pull up while the afterburners are on, realistically, I should hit the max G right there, and you can see the max G, my guy should pass out. So you can see it says max G, max G, max G, max G. Let's see how much test we can do. You can see that my screen is going to start to go black, and that's because I'm stressing the aircraft and I'm stressing the person in the plane. But you can see right there, you know, so far that was a quick maneuver to show you guys what it's like when you've got it fully on. Now, you always do have a decent amount of fuel, so you should be fine to just use this afterburner, you know, every now and again. But it isn't recommended because, like they said in the tutorial, it's quite likely that you can get shot down. Now, another thing that you can use is your PTT. So that's just the A button. So the A button is essentially, okay, I wasn't even paying attention to how I'm flying, but the A button is essentially how, you know, you turn on your radio and you're pushed to talk. So if you want to talk to anyone online, have this button, you'll be able to talk to people and you'll be able to say whatever you want to say to them. So it's completely up to you on how, you know, you want to talk to people. You know, it's completely up to you. I don't know if there's, you know, that much of a community on Meta at the moment within this game, but yeah, those are the basics. So now you can see that, you know, if you want to go up, you pull this back to up. If you want to go down, you push this forward. Of course, if you want to go faster, push on the afterburners and, you know, fly into the sky. If you want to slow down, pull them all the way back and you'll be able to, you know, change and maneuver a lot more quickly. So those are the basics. Of course, your RT to shoot, and of course, if you ever want to exit, you know, just press this, abort, and we'll get back to the lobby. So now what we'll do is we'll leave the free flight, we'll go over to the bot match, then we'll go into an offline 1v1, and I'm going to actually add on the missiles. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here, and you can see that I can now click start the game. So now you can see it's me versus a bot, and I can see it's 3-2-1, so I need to be super careful here. What you want to do is you can see I've already got a lock on, so if I hover over the button and then I press RT, you can see my missile has gone off, and that was a very, very quick kill. So make sure you hover over the B button, then press RT. That's going to confirm the lock for your first quick kill. It's important to practice this as a beginner so that when you do see, you know, an enemy, you're able to completely understand. after every single game, there's going to be this cool hologram area thing where you're going to be able to see exactly, you know, the scores, the kills, the deaths, and you're going to be able to see how it was when you're flying. This is pretty useful because when you're flying and your head's upside down, sometimes you lose your sense of direction. So this is, you know, showing you where the airplane was, and it's really cool to do this because it allows you to consistently get better and better and better. If you want to save this because you thought it was really cool, you can click save the replay, it'll get saved, or let's just go on into the next round. So once again, you can see I can hover over this button right here, and remember the target is going to be all the way on the left there. So you can see I'm going to once again hover over here. I guess you could say this is kind of like, you know, boring, but okay, right there you can see that we missed. So what I'm going to try to do now is see if I can pull around and see where this guy is, because I don't know where he is. He's probably pulling around there. I see him, and so I can see I'm stalling around because I'm like trying to like look at my screen and give you guys a good thing, but it's pretty hard to you know, record a video and do the same again. But we can see that there is a missile coming, so of course what you want to be doing is, you know, firing off the flares like I'm doing. And it's a problem because of course I've got my afterburners on, and now I'm like, you know, in a very, very bad position here. But I'm just, you know, stalling a little bit. So let's see if I can get flying away from this, and I can see him on the minimap. You can see where 16 is, and if they've got a launch missile. So of course what I'm doing is I'm tapping the flares button, and now it's of course not very good because I essentially ran out of flares. Poor execution. But what I wanted to show you guys is that while you're trying to fly, of course there are a lot of things that's going to be happening here, and it's important to know that this is the only way you're going to get better, playing against these bots and just, you know, learning the controls. So the main thing I wanted to show you guys from that demo is that when you're flying around, it is, you know, pretty interesting the amount of things that you have to do. But even as a beginner, as long as you're flying, you know, you're going off your flares and you're, you know, looking around, making sure you're keeping an eye on them, you'll be able to, you know, last much longer, and you'll be able to do a lot better. You can see right there I was able to dodge a lot of, you know, different maneuvers, and then of course the bot eventually got me. Now I'm going to end that match, and I'm going to show you guys something else that's going to get you a lot better at the game. So if we leave this and we want to go to the academy, you can see that there are many different, you know, practices. So offensive pursuit is one that's there, and one of these things. So if we click launch, so essentially what this is now is this just allows you to follow someone. So it says chase the enemy and control your speed for 2 minutes. So what this essentially means is you're just trying to, you know, stay behind this guy. You can see them all the way on the left, and essentially what this means now is that, you know, you don't really need to change your you know, your thing at the moment just yet, but keep an eye on them, see where they go, and then adjust it. Now make sure that, you know, you become one with the aircraft. It's important to know that, you know, your throttle and your you know, joystick are essentially a part of you, and it does say press PTT when ready. That is essentially just the A button. So I've pressed the A button. Now you can see we're going to start, and then even as a beginner you can see the fight is on. So okay, he just did a dive here, so he just, you know, did a quick dive. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to just stay on him right here. You guys can see I'm not going to try and shoot him down because that's not really the goal of it, but you can see I've got him in a lock, and he did do like a quick turn there, but since we did a lot of practice, I was able to, of course, you know, do that. Okay, so you can see I've still got him in my sights, and I'm still trying to fly around. Now he is flying a little bit faster, so I am going to try and just see if I can, you know, keep him in my sights there a little bit. So it is a little bit, you know, hard to do this. I am making it look a little bit easy, but just trust me when I tell you guys that this is not as simple as I'm making it look, because this is you know, I've only played this game around 5 times or so, but these are the kind of things that, you know, continued practice, continued looking at the replays, you'll be able to help yourself. So, you know, if he does like a very, very strange maneuver, okay, like he is now, that's where you want to slow down, look around, and then just follow him, because he's just done a really slow mover. So it does look like I'm stalling, but all I'm doing is I'm just buying myself time to turn. So if he does one of those crazy turns and I don't know where he's gone, of course you can either look at your radar or just look around, and you'll be able to see exactly where he's gone. So for me, you know, if he starts flying and you start seeing that blue thing, that means, you know, put on your afterburners as well. So if you do see his afterburners there that are blue, you can see I'm able to chase this guy a little bit better because I know that he's using his afterburners, so I need to use my afterburners, and he's of course trying to escape over this mountain, so I need to just, you know, keep up with him a little bit. But you know, it does seem that we're getting a bit stalled here, but of course I'm gonna let him escape for the video. So I'm just gonna let him escape. Let me just go another way to let him escape to show you guys all the different ways. So I'm gonna let him escape now. He's gonna just fly off or do whatever, and yeah, that just basically shows you those kind of maneuvers, because that is how it is supposed to be, and that is how it will be in those practice games. And of course you can see it says mission failed. So for that one, you can see I was able to, you know, stay with the target as long as possible. But remember, if the target, you know, does an evasive maneuver, slow down, you know, move the joystick around and then move forward in the other direction. Okay, and that is one of the biggest tips I can give you as a beginner trying to play this game. So of course you can see right there, I was able to stay on this bot's tail for quite some time until I just decided, you know what, let me just, you know, exit the game. So of course, if you want to, you know, go through and practice every single thing, make sure, you know, you practice all of these defensive maneuvers, sustain turns, and of course, you know, if you want to, if you're a nerd, complete nerd, and you want to look at all of the aircraft performance and graphs and how it affects the fuel, and it's just, you know, all of that information is there. Now of course you've got ranked matches and 1v1s, and it's, you know, it's up to you. But yeah, if you guys have enjoyed this video, you have any comments below, don't forget to leave them down below, and I'll see you guys in the next